Today I'm going to talk about the green economy in relation to our health. Now we all know that we are going to have wind energy and electric cars and solar energy, but what about human health? So I'm going to just first of all talk about the pharmaceutical industry, and then I'm going to talk about science and green medicine. And in my lifetime, I have followed this economy for the past 45 years. I've seen it change, I've followed it, and I've taken part in it as much as I can. First as a nurse and a midwife. I realised I was working for the pharmaceutical industry, gave that up. Then I went into natural therapies, and when I went into natural therapy, no matter what, I still couldn't find all the answers that I was looking for. And eventually I found something very powerful, which is the science of environmental medicine and nutrogenomics. Now, environmental medicine, first of all, as I said, in nursing and in therapy, most of them, it's more or less treating the symptoms, but not really getting to the cause of the illness. Environmental medicine, what it does is it looks at chemicals that are causing health problems and environmental problems. And it also looks at nature and what solutions are abounding in nature. So they look at the cause and they bring in the solution. And also nutrogenomics then is the scientific study of the interaction of nutrition, of nutrients within the gene, especially with regards to preventing and treating diseases. So we have pulled back all the layers to find the causes and then to find the solutions. So here we are. We have a challenge. There is a crisis in the world, but there is a way out, and a great way out. And really, we should embrace and be so happy and excited about this change, because it's given us our life back again. And from the paradigm shift that we are seeing in the world today, as I said, we are going away from the sickness economy. We're going to the science of health and wellness and nature. And from a sickness point of view, there was, it was nobody knew what the problem was or where the cause came from. Of course, we're living in a different age now with technology, and we are able to discover for ourselves very simply and very easily. So again, the green economy, it is not just something, it is something that is the whole world. It is a global change. So every country is coming under the agreement of this change. It is the marriage of technology and nature are proven to be a great marriage. So again, what we have down here is we have there with science, with what's happening with this is science is now bridging the gap between science and human nature. So what it's doing is it's making everything transparent and really, as I say, bringing science to our door. So what we're doing is we're moving away from chemicals and pharmacy market. And what we're doing is we're not trying, green science is not trying to get into the market. On the contrary, what it's doing is it's getting people, and people are in the droves, going over into this new global economy. And to start off, before we actually talk about it, we come from how did we get to the mess that we're in, really? Well, it all started off with the Industrial Revolution and the discovery of oil. And oil has been, over the years, has been made into thousands and thousands of different chemicals and products. And that, of course, has driven the economy. The more products that are made, the more people buy, and the more money that are made by these people, by these industrialists. And oil has been made, we talk about the complexities of oil. Oil has been made to put in farming, food, household products, the clothes. It's just endless what can be made out of oil. And then we have the factories that come along, and that's where people go in and they make these chemicals, and it creates a cycle really, because what they do is they create industrial chemicals like things that I talk about, shampoo and conditioner, things for the home is where my passion is. Shampoo, conditioner, underarm deodorant, food, face creams, anything that we use in our bathroom or in our kitchen. And then what they do is when people get sick, then of course there's a bigger industry there that comes along with these cheap drugs that cost an arm and a leg, and that then feeds the system. Of course it pollutes our water and our air, and it comes along then, and as I said, this is where the solution is to be found. It comes into the home and it pollutes the people in the home. So what people are being forced to do with these chemicals is consume. That is the thing. Buy a product, something wrong with the product, consume something else, you have to buy more, and so you buy into a whole load of stuff and a whole load of problems. What does that do? That drains the consumer of their health and of their money. So these chemicals are put into drinks that people drink, and into food that people don't see because the food looks normal. What it's doing is it's putting chemicals in, it's taking nutrients out, and this is the cause of disease. Then we've got regulatory bodies like the FDA, and of course they are in bed with the pharmaceutical industries, so they turn a blind eye to everything. All the products that are made on the market, and scientists tell us that they're even more harmful than smoking and drinking together. And people, we are bombarded by magazines and TV, are bombarding people with hype. And of course, the TV is an advertising tool. People think it's there to inform us. Certainly isn't there to inform us. It was founded, and the paper, by people in business so that they could advertise to people. There is, again with the toxic homes, people are drawn into a price war that's in the marketplace. And again, it's consume cheap, consume cheaper, consume cheapest. And this drives up the profits of the industrial world. And these people at the top, it's business people, it's business at all cost. And scientists, I heard a scientist, a very eminent environmental scientist, I was at his lecture, and he called it white collar crime. Now, because the reason that he called it white collar crime is because it is failure to warn the customers of the toxicity of what has been sold. They're all being sold and marketed as normal. Now, of course, this is going into children, and doctors. Then you go to the doctor, and the doctor is not given any ability to help people. The GP, the person goes in, the doctor wins, the patient loses. Then they're moved on to a consultant, and again they cost more money, still can't help you by regulatory standards that the pharmaceutical industry wouldn't allow these doctors that they employ. And then the person then goes on to the next thing. So it goes. Now here, even of late, I've been hearing, we've got drugs and chemicals. Now it's really, really, it's great in one way, because what's happening is a lot of pharmaceutical and chemical industries are now they're being taken to court and costing an awful lot of money. They're being charged with crimes against humanity for what they're doing, and for inflating prices, coming together and having an agreement to hype up the price of drugs at the expense of the customer. And what also, this really is what happened, as I say, I've seen this firsthand myself, is that you have the patients that come in, and what they do is they dissect the body. They say, I'll take your cardiologist, will take your heart, and a psychiatrist or neurologist will take your brain, or an endocrinologist will take your endocrine system, your reproductive systems. Of course, oncology, a lot of these products, of course, cause cancers. A urologist will take the kidneys. A rheumatologist will take the bones. A gastroenterologist will take your stomach and all. So it's all, and the same with the dermatologist will take your skin. ENT will take your ear, nose and throat. And so they treat all these things individually, and the person goes home to a toxic environment, no better off than when they came. Only health-wise, they're worse off with their health and they're worse off with their money. Treat the symptoms only. And of course now they're blaming the gene for the problem. And of course we know, and we have scientists now speaking to us and telling us it's not the gene, it's not the problem at all. They win, you lose. Then we have also, I was also a therapist. I've gone through the whole rigors of the whole system. As a therapist, I was a therapist. I searched for 10 years for answers for people. And when I became a reflexologist once, I didn't know too many people that were in therapy. Today, there is a plethora. This is nothing compared to the amount of therapists that have jumped up. But there's still a lot of them are treating the symptoms. So people are paying for the same. They've come from the doctor and the chemicals, but they're still treating, many of them are still treating the symptoms. Now some of them, doctors and therapists, are now becoming a little bit more educated thanks to the health and wellness economy. And it's all coming through the education that we are passing out from scientists. But again, people can go to a therapist and they can still go home to a toxic environment. So as I said earlier, we live in a changing world and it's great. As I said, we have electric cars, we have wind energy, we have solar energy. What about us, the humans? This is what I talk about. I talk about nature. And what's happening is that technology is now able to bring us answers, knowledge and answers, and connect us to scientists. The technology is wonderful. So again, it's bringing into the humans, bringing answers to humans. What it's doing is with the wellness industry, it's bringing nutrition in and it's eliminating toxins out. Exercise, we need to exercise and we need to eat proper food and we need to eat vegetables and of course our minerals. Minerals are probably the most valuable thing. Now, it used to be oil, now it's minerals because they have to be taken from deep within the earth. And as I say, this is the whole thing about science, where scientists are now using all of this to bring about the problem, to bring it into the home so that people can be empowered to take care of themselves. And with that is, from my own experience and from thousands of others around the world, we invest once. We don't have to spend. We just buy something that works and that's it. And the great thing about it is that we can actually, you can even teach a 10-year-old child how to look after themselves. It's become that simple. And what we do is we just share. We call this sharing the love. We become educated. We find the answers. We find the solutions to every area of our lives, our health and our finances and everything. And what we do is we then, if we're caring enough, if people are caring and considerate enough to their family and friends, all we do is pass on that information to others. Of course, there's going to be an awful lot of people that are going to disregard this. That's okay. We're only there for the people who want to share the love and spread it around to other people. Again, we have not only the FDA, but we have the Environmental Workers Group, and these are again taken over from, they're making sure the science to make sure that when we say that something is natural, safe and highly effective, that it really is what it says. So it's really getting rid of all the rubbish that's coming on the market that are proclaiming themselves to be green. And if you're not regulated with the EWG, you really aren't doing anything much for people. So that's what we're doing. As I say, it's sharing the love from one home to another. Advanced science, what's happening today now is, rather than in the past where I showed you where they're taking all the bits from the person's body and treating them individually, what's happening is advanced scientists have come together and they're now treating the whole person. And not only that, but of course now we know that the body and the mind are connected. The body and the mind. And again, this here is epigenetics. I heard epigenetics being talked about yesterday. I was watching the film on Dr. Ava and she mentioned epigenetics, and I thought, well, now things are really moving when she's brought that into the consciousness of the people on the television. And as I say, epigenetics is not, where they blame where before they would, and in many places they blame the gene for the problem, or your genetics, or your past, or your parents, or your grandparents. Now scientists are bringing out and they're saying, no, that's not the problem. Epigenetics is outside forces that are attacking the body from the outside in, not from the inside out. Very, very exciting. Dr. Bruce Lipton is a scientist, a cellular biologist who has done years and years of science on it. So you certainly can look him up and get information from him. Wonderful man. And of course, we're doing this for the common good of all humanity. Our economy now is changed, It's like anything, when customers change, the whole thing changes. So our economy has changed, and the way money is actually invested now, it's being invested into the whole science, not into separate science, the whole science, and where they're coming together, and also in nature. And we're coming down here then and creating healthy homes, clean, healthy homes. Creating clean homes, it's through awareness, action, and then we get results. We're protecting our health and our money, and we are not trying to save the planet. We are trying to save ourselves. We are at a crisis. That's what we need to do. So now we have a challenge. There's no grey area anymore. People are at a crossroads. We are either staying stuck in the past, or we're moving forward into the future. Become educated, become aware. It's very simple. Our new future. And the thing about it is, what's great about it is creating a clean home today. We are able to do it